Ever dream about making homemade tortillas to impress your house guests or your family members? Well, here in Flower Bluff, it happened. Flower Bluff Junior High students are learning how to make tortillas. Flour tortillas. It ain't that simple to make. It's very easy. You just need all-purpose flour, some baking powder, some salt, and some oil or butter. And or warm or hot water.
Okay, in other news, tortillas are and have been a staple for centuries, and students from Flower Bluff Junior High were able to take a field trip to Del Mar College to learn how to make some masa magic as part of celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. During the cooking demonstration, nearly 50 students were able to learn the techniques and ingredients behind making the perfect flour tortilla. Chef Maria Mata, who was the lab coordinator of this event, was able to share her secret when it comes to making this essential cuisine.
Once you have the practice, I think that helps a lot. And of course, the measurement. And the secret is the dough. How you, again, the love you give to when you are doing the dough.
Students not only learned how to make tortillas, but they were able to foster a better understanding of history of Mexican culture and how it impacts the world around us.
I think it's very something that should happen more often in classrooms. Definitely learning some history behind other people's cultures.
And with the younger generation learning how to master the tortilla today, they are able to connect more with their roots and now be able to pass on their knowledge of the recipe to keep the Mexican tradition alive at school and at home as well.
So thanks to this particular class, it won't be a dying art.
Exactly.
We're going to continue.
I mean, everybody loves tortillas. Everybody loves tortillas for crying out loud. I mean, 2 corn tortillas, some tapateo sauce, and 2 weenies on a fork over the stove. Then you take that fork to the water, and take the fork to put the weenies on the fork. Take the weenies on the fork. You put the fork to the water. 2 corn tortillas, some tapateo sauce. There's your lunchable, cabrón. I don't want to make a joke about Hispanic Heritage Month, but it is really a great way to learn how to make tortillas. I might make some for myself. All you gotta do is find the perfect recipe and follow it. There are some recipes online. Just feel free to look them up and make a cooking video out of it. And try to impress your friends. And maybe then you can show them at your next Del Mar College meeting. They probably won't be impressed, but you gotta keep that Mexican culture alive. Especially while you listen to Mr. George Lopez. Right here in TCISD, if you want to be a teacher, they're broadening some requirements.
For us tonight,
and as we're about to tell you, these requirements may just be people may not like these requirements or maybe in agreement with them. Here's Josh Maxwell.
And then I fell in love. I absolutely loved it. I said, this is what I want to do.
Meet Teresa Flores. She's a 4th grade teacher at Travis Elementary, but her love for the job didn't take the traditional route.
My bachelor's is actually in communication.
But she still followed her calling.
I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with that. So on my last semester, I thought I would be a substitute on the days that I wasn't taking college classes. And that's how I stumbled across education.
Flores was hired as an uncertified teacher, meaning she didn't have all the necessary certifications that someone who goes through a 4-year education program would normally have.
During that time, I was able to work for the school district for 1 year and get that teaching experience while getting my 3 state board certifications.
On Monday, CCISD made an amendment that teachers could be hired if they were instructors at a community college or 4-year university, or if they had a bachelor's degree and are working toward completing their teacher certification.
I didn't pass my state board the very first time. It's a very hard test, and there's 3 of them.
They're dumbing down the teaching profession.
Meanwhile, Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers President Nancy Vera says the new flexible hiring criteria for teachers could have a negative impact on education. She says having teachers who aren't up to state standards could do more harm than good.
Research shows that those students will perform worse on standardized test scores than they are now.
The amended plan outlines that teachers hired without their certifications are paired with experienced mentors to help them grow in their new role. Something Flores says was invaluable.
And all of that really helps with your state board testing because you really learn what it is that they're looking for as an educator.
Now again, teachers hired under that criteria will be known as associate teachers. Another amendment that was passed on Monday allows the district to hire American Sign Language teachers with an associate's degree rather than a bachelor's degree. Back to you.
So now we probably know. I mean, it's just, once you get your teaching degree, then it's like, okay, where do you go from here? But it's a process that goes through. And with mentors, students need teachers, kids need teachers and a mentor. That's why students come in. And like autism, you need a mentor. Without that mentor, you won't be able to succeed. Like with autism. If you think about it both ways, then maybe then you can see the difference. Can you ever imagine a teacher giving your child a patch? Not a patch that you would on your arm, but a sleeping patch to keep your child, to keep the student quiet. Well, it's all in the news, and we'll give you the very latest. Later on, aliens, tennis court rumors, and where does the money come from? Stay with us. Take a look at this. It might be an ordinary sticker to you, like a little decorative sticker to put on your body, like a little tattoo. But this sticker is none other than a sleeping patch. And what does it contain? Melatonin for adults. If you're an adult, you can take this. But can you ever imagine giving it to a child without any medical supervision from your doctor? Because this is very dangerous stuff. It happened here in Texas. And parents are asking, and the teachers are facing criminal charges. And as we're about to show you, there is common sense that needs to be raised. Tonight, you're going to be hearing from the parents as they try to give out some common sense. As they tell their sides all about what had happened when those kids took those melatonin sleeping aid patches. Take a look.
The sticker makes me fall asleep.
This is 4-year-old Lane Luviano. She's the one that broke this case open in September when she snuck one of her sleepy stickers out of the classroom.
She kind of pulled up her little shorts and said, "Mom, look, this is my sleeping sticker." And I was like, "The what?"
When Lane's mom, Lisa, saw the sticker, she thought it was strange and asked her daughter about it.
And the teacher gives it to you, where she put it?
On my arm.
On your arm? Which part? Point to it. Right up there?
Yeah.
And what's it look like?
Sleepy with a moon on it.
Lane's dad says he's known something was wrong since school first started.
2 o'clock in the morning, I'm hearing some noise in the room, and I'm going over there. She's still up.
And so she gives you the sticker, you put the sticker on, and it makes you tired?
Yeah.
Wow. And all the kids get them?
Yeah.
They never notified the parents.
So Lisa took matters into her own hands. She reached out to the other parents in Lane's class and sent them pictures of the patch to see if their kids were getting the stickers too.
I showed it to my 4-year-old, and she said, yes, that's the sleepy sticker.
Melissa Guilford immediately went online to research the sticker.
Sleep Z patch. Okay, so, and if you read the ingredients on them, it has a lot of, it's just things I've never even heard of.
And they're giving them drugs to make them sleep, to keep them quiet.
Najala Abdullah tells us she noticed changes in her son, who told her he'd been getting the stickers too. She says he'd been crying, stopped eating, and was bringing home lunches that he hadn't touched. The parents shared with us an email they received from Northgate Crossing Elementary's principal today. The email states 2 of the school staff members were put on leave after they allegedly administered sleeping supplements to students on September 24th. The email also states the Spring ISD Police Department is investigating.
Do you think it could be a crime?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
We've been trying to get in touch with the school district throughout the afternoon and evening. So far, we have not gotten any response. Back to you.
Most concerning. We know you'll keep us posted if and when you do hear from the district. Matt Doherty tonight. Thank you.
That's how I feel. One of the worst stories ever be on this chalkboard. And this is one of the worst stories ever. I mean, every teacher looks at this and go, that's a good idea. I'm gonna try that. Hey kids, be quiet. I'll make you go night night. Okay. Yeah, sport. You come here. You come here. Come here. Come here. Don't worry. Gunner, I want to give you something. Come here, I want to give you some. Ow, you stepped on my toe, you little fucker. Come here. Fucking amateurs. Amateurs. I'm out of breath here. Fucking amateurs, these teachers. How you gonna keep a child quiet? Shush. Listen, quiet down, class. Worst thing ever is giving Benadryl. You drinking it too late. Don't even minute. Don't be a good night juice, Carlo. A good night juice, minute. Take it. Drink it. Target shit. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 11 to drink 8, 9. You probably get the picture here. Oh, my breath. I don't intend to be funny here. But I bet these two teachers like a shovel. There, all done. Oh my God. Okay, let's step out of the funny world and get back to some serious business here. Are you joking me? I would not imagine giving my 1-year-old nephew a sleeping patch for kids without, based on the doctor's decision, based on the decision of the parents, and based on what the grandparents would have to say. And I would simply not give it to any child, any student. If I was in those teachers' shoes, I would say to myself, whoa, hold on there, hold your horses there. You can get into a lot of trouble. And all of a sudden, you would throw your conscience out the window. There. How about that, little troublemaking smartass? Yeah, you can't whoop me no more. All you can do is ground me. Motherfucker, fine. That close enough to the ground, you punk ass? Get your ass up. Okay. Let's read some of the comments. I know over almost 1,000 of you were commenting on this story. That was definitely not a one-time thing. If all those children recognize the sleepy time patch, they don't want to deal with children, they shouldn't be working there. Huge crime, drugging kids, absolutely disgusting. Prison time for that. Those patches are made for adults who have trouble sleeping, not children. You can't give children any harmless drugs without consulting guardian. They are minors. Not to mention the hell there would be if the kids have to be allergic to, God forbid. It's not an isolated case. All parents should show a picture of the kids and ask if they know what this is. They need a parent who brought awareness to the story and put the word out to other parents that this happened in this school. Those teachers should be arrested in jail for doping the children. This is unacceptable. Something needs to be done to stop this from happening again. I mean, besides taking away their license, yes. Jail time. Suspended with pay? Jail time needs to happen here. As why people need to go to jail and learn their lesson here. It's child abuse. Alright. Here's my common sense. You don't ever do that. You don't ever do that, ever. You don't ever. Believe me. I could if I wanted to. If I wanted to control my child, hell, I want to give them that sleeping patch. Stop right there. Child abuse, jail time. Foster care, jail time. No ifs, ands, buts, or excuses about it. Your job is to teach, as a teacher, not to give dope to a child to keep them quiet, and without realizing the side effects. And you know, like we talked about, you can actually find those sleeping patches online. So, let's check it out. Let's see if you can find those on Amazon. Because it's a growing controversy here. It may be happening in Texas, but is it happening in other states? We won't know. Let's take a look. You can actually find it. Yes. There's one you can get for $10. There's one you can get for $23. You can get it on Amazon, Walmart, The Good Patch. You can find these at your local store. You don't look. You can actually buy it. I mean, go to Walmart. You can actually find these at your local Walmart. And teachers, don't you think about getting the idea. You can't pick them up. Try clicking on in-store. I bet you probably won't even exist. Nope. Can't even find it. Things have got to change. Don't you think about buying this on Amazon. If it's for you, you want that patch, go right ahead. Matter of fact, I might as well get the sleeping patch myself and try it on my arm, see if I feel sleepy. But not in the afternoon. You shouldn't, and here's the other common sense here. You should not be drugging your son. You should not be drugging your students, ever. You never, ever want to do that. No ifs, no ands, no buts or excuses about it. I don't care if you want to control your child. But parents can be concerned about this. And they can send an email saying about this, that, and the third. Well, I understand completely here. But we have to understand what's going on in today's society, where we allow teachers to dope our kids without letting us know. You ought to mean great thing for the mom and for the child to come forward and say this is happening. Ever since September. Ever since a month ago. And now, ever since almost a month ago, and now we're probably learning new details about this. But the question is, has it ever happened before in other states? We'll find out when we come back. And later on, stories about tennis, aliens, and where does your money come from? Stay with us. With 2 teachers in one school getting suspended for providing children with sleep patches, the question remains, is it happening in other states other than Texas? The answer is The answer is no. This case only originated in Texas. And I'm thinking they probably saw the story thinking to themselves, hey, you know, we can do the same thing. Absolutely not. You never want to do that, period. I get it. You know, you want to control your children, this, that, and the third. But we have to be in agreement here. I get you want to control your children. But the way this is probably being approached, it's like, you know, we probably don't get it. We probably don't care. We probably don't get it. We probably won't care. You have to understand that, you know, we get it. You know, you want to control your child. You want to make sure they're quiet and all. You don't dope your children unless you know the side effects. Then the next day they're going to be sleeping. Because if you try that, that child's going to be up at 2 a.m. making a lot of noise. And then they're going to sleep in class. And then they're going to wonder, oh shit, it was those sleep patterns I gave them. So the answer to the question here, no. This was the only state that happened. And I imagine if it was in other states, I would be breaking the story. So here's some feedback. I want to hear your thoughts about this story with a question. How would you feel? Here's a question for you. How would you feel if at your school, from a different state or from a different school here in Texas, how would you feel if one day your child came home with a sleeping patch and you were concerned like those parents would? How would you feel and how would you respond and react? I want to hear your responses. I want you to give me some feedback in the community page, on the community page. And we'll have the results on our next broadcast. But that's enough about teachers and sleeping patches. Let's move on here to something probably that could deserve
The tennis world couldn't help but notice.
Here's a question that could probably make you wonder where your money's coming from. Our tax dollars are probably going to other than schools. Imagine your tax dollars going to a different country. Could it ever happen? The person you're about to meet from a different country is this guy. And if it did happen, we probably wouldn't be talking about this, but it is happening. And as we're about to show you, we're wasting a lot of our tax dollars in different countries. Here's Brian Ross.
This is the Bureau of Printing and Engraving in Washington, D.C., where the money is made. A printing press here can turn out a lot of money in just a minute, some $4,096 a minute. But this one press would have to operate non-stop every hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from now until next February, just to come close to the amount of money the United States government has squandered on the man in this limousine. Sese Seko Mobutu, who as the president of the African country of Zaire and one of America's staunchest allies against communism, has become incredibly rich.
Clearly, he is one of the wealthiest, if not the most wealthy man in the world today.
Former Congressman Steve Solar spent 20 years in Washington trying to stop American money from going to Mobutu's pockets.
I think we gave him, over the years in which we supported Zaire, around $1.6 billion. That ain't peanuts. That is a lot of money. You can be sure a significant amount of it ended up in his pockets or his bank accounts in the kleptocracy.
Kleptocracy, a government run by thieves, or a thief. And that, based on a 4-month investigation by Dateline, fairly well describes what we heard about a man who became one of the world's great billionaire tyrants, all with the help of American taxpayers and a blind eye from Washington.
Zaire is among America's oldest friends, and its president, President Mobutu, one of our most valued friends.
That's what Indiana Republican Congressman Dan Burton used to say, that Mobutu was important to help fight Soviet aggression in Africa.
I can't believe it.
That is, until Burton saw for himself the Mobutu lifestyle on a trip to Zaire, where a member of the American embassy staff took these pictures.
Here we are at the President's Palace.
When you're talking about the kind of opulence that I saw, I don't think you can express it in words. I mean, it was really extraordinary. They had a fleet of Mercedes there to pick us up. Then we drove on a paved road past people who live in mud huts with thatched roofs with no clothes on except maybe a loincloth of some kind.
Here we are in the President's private residence. This is where the money goes.
I have never seen a home 5 stories high with cut glass chandeliers with Rothschild urns in the living room that cost over $50 million in the middle of a jungle. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I kept thinking, where in the world is all the money coming from for this?
For almost 30 years, much of it came from Washington and other Western capitals. And as fast as it came in, American and European investigators say Mobutu found new and extravagant ways to spend it. $250,000 to charter the Concorde for quick trips to Europe. Millions more for this villa on the French Riviera. And then there was this gold-plated 2-foot-high bust of himself. And of course, for dinner, only the finest French wines and champagnes would do. Still leaving billions for Mobutu's secret European bank accounts.
This makes grand larceny in our country look like a petty crime. I mean, this man was stealing literally hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of his tenure as the leader of the country.
And investigators say Mobutu stole not only the foreign aid coming into Zaire, but much of the proceeds of his country's vast diamond and mineral mines, further fueling Mobutu's worldwide spending spree, like this elaborate party for his wife's 40th birthday, with violins, gold-rimmed wine goblets, and a display of Mobutu's gold bullion collection, all held on the French Riviera. No one but perhaps Mobutu himself knows just how much money he has, but a wide range of diplomats and investigators told Dateline the figure is anywhere between $2 and $8 billion. However many billions it is, the fact is, Mobutu lives like a king while his people suffer. After 3 decades of American support and $1.6 billion in American taxpayer dollars, Zaire is in collapse. Almost nothing works. Not a single new hospital has been built since Mobutu took power. The government hasn't paid teachers in years. A country that could be rich appears to have been bankrupted by the unchecked greed of its own president.
Monsieur le President, Brian Ross, Dateline NBC.
But that's not how President Mobutu sees it. In a rare interview conducted in Cairo last year, Mobutu told Dateline it's all propaganda.
I believe that I have done a lot for my country, and this contrary to the campaign of denigration, intoxication, misinformation.
The United States sent more than $1 billion in aid to your country. Where did that money go?
Do you want the answer? This has been written for 15, 20 years. And it's been 15 or 20 years that I'm still waiting for proofs. You are a good journalist. Please make your inquiries in Belgium, in France, anywhere you want.
And that's exactly what we did. Tracking a trail of money Mobutu left across Europe, a long way from the poverty of Zaire.
When you were with Mobutu, you would come here often?
Yes.
In our investigation, we found Emmanuel Dungia, one of Mobutu's former intelligence officers, who told us that before he quit in disgust, he was a kind of European fixer for Mobutu, helping to keep the champagne and the smuggled diamonds flowing.
There are many rooms, very beautiful.
Dunya took us to what he said was perhaps the most extravagant of Mobutu's holdings, a 19th century chateau on the outskirts of Brussels in Belgium.
Very expensive? Yes, very expensive.
It's called the Chateau Fondroy, according to Dunya, expensively furnished and the scene of many a lavish party. To pay for it all, Dunya says Mobutu had his top aides fly in suitcases full of cash. One more place where American taxpayer dollars seem to have ended up.
It's a shame, right? It's a shame, right.
And the Chateau Fondroy is just one of at least 15 chateaux and villas and ranches that Mobutu and his family own in Europe.
Do you recognize this picture?
But this is my house in Brussels. Yes, this is mine.
So I'd like you to explain to us, where did you get the money?
You have mentioned houses, castles. Don't I have a right to have houses and castles? Do I have this right or not?
Have you seen these documents? Transfers of money from the Bank of Zaire to you and your family members?
Where did you get these documents from?
The documents, based on the records of the Central Bank of Zaire, show some $150 million going to Mobutu and his family in just one 3-year period, all dismissed by Mobutu as just more propaganda.
It's nearly every year. The opposition in Zaire comes out with such documents.
But people say you are the president of Zaire and one of the world's great embezzlers at the same time.
Listen, it's propaganda. Forget it.
Castles in Spain, ranches in Portugal, a house in the south of France, a marble villa there.
I did not steal this money, so what is your problem, you American journalist?
It's not stealing, it all belongs to him.
John Stockwell is a former CIA agent who was based in Zaire in the late 1960s.
He's the chief. Everything in that country belongs to him.
So he doesn't see himself as a thief, then?
Not at all. No, not at all.
And Mobutu is someone the CIA knows all about. It was the CIA which helped put him in power in the 1960s. At a time when Mobutu was head of the army, and Zaire was still known as the Belgian Congo. But Stockwell says the legacy of champagne and corruption that had been left by the Congo's white colonial rulers was something Mobutu quickly picked up on. Stockwell recounted how early on, Mobutu stole a delivery of CIA cash intended for rebels in the neighboring country of Angola.
A courier went out with, just like in the movies, with a briefcase, handcuffed to his wrist and delivered the cash.
How much did he pocket?
1.3 million.
It was known in Washington.
Absolutely. Nothing could be done. What could you do?
And that's been the attitude in Washington since the days of Presidents Kennedy, Nixon, Carter, Reagan, and Bush. Reports from human rights groups, Congress, international bankers of thievery, repression, even murder were all ignored as Mobutu skillfully played his Cold War cards. For the 8 years of the Reagan administration, Chester Crocker, now a professor at Georgetown University, was the Assistant Secretary of State for Africa. And although he disputes findings that American taxpayer money was stolen, he says he was well aware of Mobutu's stealing.
I could see the way he lived.
Yeah. If you knew all this, why didn't you cut him off completely?
Well, that sounds easy, but it is easier to get rid of what exists than it is to replace it with something better.
But he survived for 28 years because of that kind of thinking.
What's the alternative is the question that we would often ask ourselves. We're not living in Connecticut, Brian. We're living in the world as it is. We didn't invent that world.
But in the last 2 years, the Mobutu printing press has finally been shut down as Congress, outraged by his stealing and his extravagances, cut off American aid.
There has to be a limit. And the limit is, you don't let a person rape his country 6 ways from sundown and then continue to support it.
But with an incredible resilience that has marked his 28 years of rule, Mobutu remains in power in Zaire, seemingly oblivious to what's happening in Washington or even his own country.
These are some pictures taken recently in your country. These people live in paper shacks. You have chateaus, castles, villas in the south of France. Look how these people live, and look how you live. How do you reconcile? Are you familiar with these scenes? Do you ever get out in the street to see these things? What happened?
At that moment, the room went black, and to this day, we don't know if the room full of Mobutu's security guards were behind it. But 5 minutes later, when the lights came back on, Mobutu said he had one last thing to tell us about his wife's charity work.
Do you know what my wife has done for these people?
But if it's true that you have stolen tens of millions, hundreds of millions, maybe billions from your country, no amount of social work by your wife or anyone else seems to make up for that, does it?
I stop you. Don't say that I have stolen. No, you have to withdraw this word, otherwise I'm not continuing.
It was Washington that put Mobutu in power 3 decades ago and kept him there with hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. And now some say, before it's too late, it's up to Washington to clean up the mess it has made in Zaire.
What I am absolutely convinced of is that so long as Mobutu was there, tens of millions of Zairian people are doomed. And the only chance for a better future is to have him removed from the scene.
The inflation rate in Zaire is now estimated to be 8,500%. Mobutu himself rarely leaves his huge pink marble palace, protected by his own private militia.
His own private militia. So now we know where the money comes from. Stealing your money does not help out your country. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with these people? Alright. We're going to take a break and come back with the story of tennis accusations and the story about alien abductions. Stay with us. If Mary Pierce may not be familiar to you, then maybe it should. Maybe some tennis accusations could be put in place, but as you're about to hear, maybe some new accusations yet after all the 30 years. Here's Faith Daniels.
Okay, here we go. Oscar Bingo. Good.
This is the new Mary Pierce, in training for the 1994 pro tennis season.
Square purple, star purple, star purple.
And this is the new Mary Pierce.
That's it.
Striking a pose for an upcoming issue of Racket magazine. And this is the new Mary Pierce.
I like seeing that face of her.
York, here are Jane.
Sorry about that.
Okay, here we go. Oscar Bingo. Good.
This is the new Mary Pierce, in training for the 1994 pro tennis season.
Square purple, star purple, star purple.
And this is the new Mary Pierce.
That's it.
Striking a pose for an upcoming issue of Racket magazine. And this is the new Mary Pierce.
I like seeing that face of her smile.
Hitting winners and crowd pleasers, but now with a smile on her face.
She's really come out of her shell. You know, she's much more open off the court and also when she's playing.
Now she seems pretty calm, pretty serene, pretty relaxed. It's two total different people, really.
This is the other Mary Pierce, the one people remember. The tormented child, helpless in the hands of a coach who seemed impossible to please. Her father.
Jim Pierce would be labeled the mother of all tennis fathers, a man who bullied spectators, assaulted other players' parents, and swore at, heckled, and berated his own teenage daughter. It was behavior the tennis world couldn't help but notice.
In so many ways, there's a tragedy going on here.
Jim Pierce was his daughter's self-appointed tennis coach.
She'll do better when he's out of the picture at some point, no two ways about it.
He was determined to make Mary his champion, built in his image. But somewhere along the line, something had gone terribly wrong.
I think actually it starts out with a father trying to provide a better life for their daughter. And then it slowly warps into an obsession. And when you get an obsession mixed with control, it's not a pretty sight.
Mary's story is not an easy one for her to tell. After all, her father did help her to become number 12 in the world. And to his credit, she is the only world-class player to make it so far without professional coaching.
He never played tennis, he never watched tennis before I started. It's just something that, you know, when he saw how good he thought that I could be, he got interested in it.
In fact, Jim Pierce was so sure of Mary's potential, he decided to sell their Florida home, pull Mary out of 6th grade and her brother out of 4th, and work with her full-time. And so for the next few years, the family bounced from tennis facility to tennis facility while living out of the back of their car.
I want to make a Rocky, I want to make a God. I want her to do other things that I know other women cannot do because she's physically can do it, and she has the body and the muscle and the stamina to do it.
To create this physical specimen, Jim Pierce had Mary pounding away a minimum of 8 hours a day. Often watching with concern was her best friend, her brother David.
He did have good coaching at times. He came up with some good stuff. That's true. But there's a tough coach, and then there's like a drill sergeant for the Marines where they like run you till you fall down, and that's really what it was.
Stopped seeing her practice with her father, and you know, he didn't know what he was doing, and he wouldn't let anybody else near her either. I mean, they were doing some drills that were so unlike anything that might happen on the court during a match.
The result, as one coach put it, she was like a wild stallion with little understanding of the finer points of competitive tennis. Nonetheless, when Mary was 14, she made her debut as the youngest pro player ever, and by then, the family was literally banking on Mary.
Everything depended on her, basically. If we ate, if we could go somewhere, if we needed money, it was always on her. She was the one that made it.
How much pressure was there on you to win?
Well, it was, I mean, when I was going out and playing, I always wanted to win because I hated losing. I was very competitive. But I also felt that when I won, that my dad was also very happy.
When you didn't win, what would happen?
It wasn't a very happy day.
Mary's pro debut was no exception. After a devastating first-round loss, an autograph seeker remembers the effect it had on Mary.
And she was crying. She had lost, and somebody was giving her a hard time, and I told her not to worry, someday she'd be famous. And she is.
The somebody was her father, and she would become famous, but for all the wrong reasons. 1991.
Nicely done for Pierce.
After 2 years on the pro circuit, Mary was showing promise as a player.
I like her form, I like her strokes.
But the more she improved, the heavier the burden became of having to please her father.
It's true, as I got better and better, he kind of got worse and worse. Maybe because he saw how good that I can be, and he just wanted it probably as badly as I did.
He wanted to take Mary to #1, have her beat everybody, and then to have her say on the stand when she gets the trophy for Wimbledon, "Oh, I owe it all to my father." That's what he wanted.
Tom, known for, was his ongoing boorish behavior. Soon the press began to document incident after incident, and as time went on, the situation would deteriorate even further. Paris, 1992.
Jim Pierce has already punched out a spectator here at the French. He yelled at them, sweared at him, and he, as he said, he busted one of them in the chops.
Mary went into the French Open ranked 15th in the world, but the spectacle of Jim Pierce was the feature attraction. Even other players showed up to see what might happen.
Everyone knows that at any time, Jim Pierce is crazy enough to start something.
David, who was sitting in the front row, remembers the tension.
When he watches her match, his presence is like right on her, and he suffocates her. Because she's always looking over at him, wondering what he's going to do.
Jennifer Capriati has won the match and is in the fourth.
But Jim Pierce, the country boy from North Carolina, never understood the complaints that there had been too much pressure on Mary.
Pressure, to me, is not being a beautiful, blonde girl playing in the sunshine, in beautiful clothes, in the great weather, making $20,000, $30,000, and $40,000 a week.
And by 1993, he was wound so tight, he couldn't even hide it before the cameras. These kinds of incidents had everyone whispering about what might be happening privately.
Did he physically abuse you?
I don't answer that.
I was never there when it happened, but she would come back from practicing and she would have a black eye and they would say that she got hit by a ball, but I never really thought that a ball would, I mean, maybe once it could be believed, but a couple times I don't think so.
By now, journalists were digging deeper into Jim Pierce's past. What they found left the tennis world reeling. They reported Pierce had forgery and robbery convictions, that he had escaped from prison, and using aliases had lived on the run during the 60s. Even more disturbing were reports of an earlier history of psychiatric problems, that Pierce had been diagnosed as a schizophrenic with paranoid tendencies.
On center, the long-awaited Jenny Capriati and Mary Pierce. It is a psychodrama.
1993 turned out to be the watershed year for the Pierce family. When Mary stepped onto the court at the French Open, her mother was alone in the stands.
Jim Pierce expelled, causing a disturbance in Mary's last match.
Not only had Jim Pierce been thrown out of the French Open, the Women's Tennis Association banned him from all tournaments, going so far as to post his picture in ticket booths to keep him out. It was also the final straw for Mary.
What made you decide to finally break your ties with your father?
I just came to the point where I really couldn't take much more of, just fighting every day, and it wasn't doing any wonders for my tennis either. And when I would go on the court and have to play my matches, I was already mentally drained, and I didn't have the fight that you need.
To keep her father at bay, Mary's mother applied for restraining orders, and in court papers accused him of what had long been suspected. Starting years ago, defendant would threaten to kill me, would slap me around. If Mary would lose a match, he would yell at her and slap her around. Jim Pierce has denied ever physically abusing Mary, but meanwhile, as Mary played tournaments, she traveled with bodyguards to protect herself from her own father.
Do you think that somehow your tennis playing has gotten lost in all the discussion about your father?
Yeah, I'd have to say so for sure, because, it's hard to, it's kind of sad that if somebody will know who I am, that they'll think, oh, well, that's the girl with her father, or the tennis player, so they won't really know, oh, wow, Mary Pierce, sure, the girl who's got a great game, she's exciting to watch. I just wish that that's the way that people would really look at me and see me and know me.
Excellent, Mary.
That is beginning to change. Since then, her mother has filed for divorce, and her father has stayed out of the picture.
Good move, Mary. Good move.
And last September, Mary hired Nick Bollettieri to take her tennis into the future. What he found was an athlete with a desire to win, but a broken spirit.
Coaching her is one thing, but trying to help Mary feel good about herself and that she can do things on the tennis court as well as off the court was very much in my mind.
Under Bollettieri, instead of 8 hours of practice, Mary now has quality sessions in smaller doses. Footwork training to teach her how to move her 5'11" frame around the court. Physical fitness training to strengthen her muscles and control her weight. Water therapy to ease the strain the various court surfaces place on her lower back. And something even more important.
You're already on number 4 shooting here, aren't you?
No, I hit one up there.
And it went.
For the first time since she picked up a racket, Mary's discovering a life off the court. And all told, the changes have suited her well. After just 4 months on her own,
She's got it! Mary Pierce, the blazing winner!
Mary knocked off Gabby Sabatini, number 6 in the world. And then the next night, she did it again, dumping Martina, number 3 in the world. And not long after that,
The upset is complete. Mary Pierce has done it. She has defeated the number 2 player in the world.
she beat Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, her sweetest victory yet. And now people are talking about Mary Pierce, the tennis player.
She could be number 1, I think. She's got the head, and she wants to be out there. She really enjoys. She's in the game for the right reasons now.
At the moment, Mary is poised to move into the top 10. And for now, she's content to play well and take tennis at her own pace.
I'm not in a hurry and in any rush. It doesn't have to be this year or next year. I just know that I can do it. It'll happen one day.
Dateline's attempts to contact Jim Pierce went unacknowledged. Right now, Mary's got the French Open on her mind. She easily won her first-round match yesterday.
Super cool. Super, super cool. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You ready to go surfing? Well, you're going to be thrown off your board for this last story. It's a story about big wave surfers who would take desperate measures to even catch that big wave with a big storm. And as you're about to hear from one person, it was the wave versus Mark Fu. Here's John Larson.
We have high surf and high currents. It's a very life-threatening situation out there. Please stay away from the water's edge.
When the surf gets too big and too dangerous, most surfers stay away. Not Ken Bradshaw.
Right now, the conditions are clean, but the swell's not ready here yet. They'll be here by around 2 o'clock.
Bradshaw, a 27-year veteran of big surf, has spent his life paddling out to sea when everyone else is wisely coming back in. He'll paddle as far out as he needs to, sometimes 2 miles out, for a chance at catching one huge wave.
This is not a game. This is not for a novice. This is not for anybody who's less than extremely experienced.
Brock Little, the sport's rising star, is also among the few willing to take on waves 15, 20 feet and higher here at Waimea Bay in Hawaii, a place surfers call the Proving Ground. This is home to a rare breed, at their best, not on land, but in the water. Listen to big wave legend Mark Fu.
I'm generally afraid of heights, and I'm generally afraid of speed, and I don't like roller coasters, and I'm afraid on a horse, you know? But there's no wave I've ever encountered that has made me so scared to go in.
And for most, the desire to surf huge waves is greater than life itself.
It is so large that you're willing to give up your life, your career, your family, girlfriends, jobs, everything. It's almost like an obsession, almost like an addiction.
You ever feel like you ought to be going to Surfers Anonymous? Just help me get through this one day without taking a surf?
When I'm getting my work done and I have a hard time paying the mortgage, yeah, I do.
Right.
I do.
Only a few elite big wave surfers make a living off the sport. Bradshaw has endorsements from clothing companies and makes surfboards on the side.
6'3", this is made for waves that are like 1 to 3.
So it's sort of like having a 5-iron and a 3-iron.
Totally. 9'8".
Brock Little's 6-figure income comes from clothing deals and surfboard manufacturers.
8'2", 8'0", 8'4", 6'10".
But ask anyone, and they call Mark Fu the Prince of Tides, a master marketer with endorsements and TV deals. Fu knew how to get noticed. In fact, he was the first big wave surfer to realize that to make money, you not only have to make the really big waves, you got to be seen doing it.
Mark would wake up and call 15 people every morning and tell them what he's going to do, where he's going to go, and if you can shoot me or not. And
promote.
Yeah, promote. He would push. Come on. Where you at, boy?
And Fu knew how to deliver. In 1985, when Waimea was raging with 30-foot waves, only the heavyweights were willing to try it. But by afternoon, the surfers were in so much trouble, they had to be rescued by helicopter. What happened next is the story Fu loved to tell.
The helicopter came out, and after he had gotten all the other guys out, they were in the back, and he wanted me to get in, and I waved him off because I figured, well, I still have my board. I still felt like I was in control.
Fu caught the next wave, and a photographer caught the moment. Some say it was a 50-foot wave, maybe the largest ever ridden. Fu fell immediately after the photo was taken. The helicopter had to rescue him, his board broken in half. Fu's stunt created a whole new attitude in big wave surfing. No guts, no glory.
Those days do occur where you're just, I
could die today.
Yeah, I could die today, and I'm going to catch a wave anyway, you know.
Brock Little was one of the first young surfers to follow in Foo's wake. In 1990, at the premier big wave event, the Eddie Aikau Invitational, Little made history with this ride, even though he fell. And he made this daring attempt to ride a 36-foot wave. Once again, he fell. But he was up long enough for a photograph. This one ride earned Little both money and fame. The picture, a lasting record of Little's entry into the big time.
Danger is what sells. People go, what's wrong with that guy? Why does he do that?
Mike Parsons, the 1992 pro surfing champion, says there's another factor in the mix. Almost every surfer has a photo incentive in his contract, which means they get a bonus for every picture published in a magazine.
Does the competition with the other world-class big wave surfers somehow drive it over the edge a little bit more? Are you willing to take risks that you wouldn't normally take?
It definitely does. We're real competitive out there. We have egos, and we want to ride the biggest wave, and we want to, catch the most incredible takeoff. So at times we push ourselves a little bit too much.
Nothing's free, nothing great comes easily, so the more I pay, the more I'll get.
And what a price it is. No big wave surfer can avoid wipeouts, and in huge surf, it happens all the time. And wipeouts are what make the sport so dangerous.
When you eat it in those kind of waves, you're going so fast and there's so much velocity that it's not like hitting water, it's like hitting concrete, so the impact itself is almost enough to knock you unconscious.
Surfers say falling off a 30-foot wave is like falling off a 3-story building. Only here, the building chases you down the street and then falls on you, holding you underwater for what seems like forever.
It's the most violent, powerful thing I've ever felt. Having that wave slam you and roll you and tumble you and hold you down, and the minute you think you're going to come up, it'll slam you back down again.
And you end up having conversations with yourself. You end up sitting there going, this is why I train, remember? This is why I swim those extra laps. This is why I do that underwater training.
That's a pretty collected, calm conversation.
But see, that's what it is. I mean, panic is what's going to kill you.
Right.
Ultimately, panic is what's going to kill you.
Mike Parsons.
If they are in trouble, surfers have a lifeline of sorts, a leash tied to their ankle and connected to their board. Even if a surfer's knocked unconscious by a wave, their leash can signal trouble.
Boards usually float flat. Sure. The second it does on end, it's like, help, help, help. And I've seen boards break in half. And even the little tailpiece, it's only half a board, sits there and does this, you know? So you go, hey, this guy's in trouble. Somebody get in there.
Right.
You know, and then you have to literally, you hand over fist, pull the guy to the surface. You know, I've done it several times myself.
The pros think punishing wipeouts are just an occupational hazard and are even willing to pay what Mark Fu called the ultimate price.
It would be a glamorous way to go. I mean, a great way to go. I mean, that's how I would like to go out in a 50-foot wave.
Huge waves are rare, sometimes years apart.
Very good day to sit on the beach.
So the world's best wait,
About this window.
watch, and listen.
Big stormy conditions continue on the North Shore.
And last December, big wave surfers got the weather report of a lifetime. A huge storm, generating 65-foot swells, was sweeping the Pacific. It was only a matter of time before this monstrous wave would be close enough to ride.
A huge wave to ride. So who would survive? Would it be Mark Fu or the other surfer? When we come back, the conclusion to the ultimate ride and a possibility of a board breaking. Please stay with us. Everybody has that right to film. But what about filming police officers? WeAreChange.org has a viral video that sparked a bunch of attention with just over 300,000 views since November, 11 years ago. We're talking 2013. Take a look.
Stop using it. It's his property. Not taking it. It's his property. Stop.
Get it out.
Stop.
I touch you, I touch you.
Hey, touch my fucking finger, right? Let's relax. Everything's gonna work out. There you go. Just relax.
Because he was using it. If you want to write a ticket, write a ticket.
He doesn't have ID.
Confiscate my stuff.
I did stop. Just relax. Everything's fine. With all due respect, I have a First Amendment right as a New York City journalist to record every conversation. I don't need to show you ID just because I'm ID. I have my press pass in my bag and I can show you it. But even I don't have to show you it. Number one, it's not illegal to film. And if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't mind me filming. If you're doing something wrong, and that's when you don't want me to film.
Thank you, Officer Smith. Thank you. All right, thank you. Can I have my ID back?
He said he's a journalist. I want to see his journalist ID. I'm looking for it right now.
Keepers.org. It's a new organization.
Here, I have mine.
An active police and military.
Not that it matters,
To
but I have mine. Yeah, it's not in my bag now. But I have my business. I have every right as a citizen of the United States of America.
Put the camera away.
I have every right to film.
I'm telling you right now.
Sir, I know my rights.
Well,
I
first
studied
of all,
the penal
lying to a
law.
police officer, okay?
I'm not lying to a
No,
police
then where's
officer.
your press pass?
Because I have.
Where's your press
I don't
pass?
have it with me, but he has a press pass.
He
It
says he
doesn't
has a
matter. I
press
have a
pass.
business card that says I'm a journalist here.
I don't know
It
who you
doesn't
are.
matter. Even if I'm not a journalist, I have every right to record
Actually,
you,
no,
sir.
you don't.
Yes, I do. The
Actually,
Constitution.
no, you do not.
It's not a
Okay?
police.
First of all,
I
it's
stood
not
back.
in the
I didn't
Constitution.
impede. I didn't impede.
You can quote the Constitution.
It's the First Amendment,
Know it
New York
first,
State and
okay?
New York City law, municipal law,
First of
penal
all,
law. I
state law is
studied.
not covered by the Constitution.
Yes, but it has
okay?
its own
So if
constitution
you're going to
that I
quote the
read and I
Constitution,
studied.
know what you're talking about
I
first.
have every right
okay?
to film. And
Know
you
what
have
you're
no
talking
right to
about first.
If you're doing nothing wrong, you shouldn't mind me filming. If
Okay,
you're not doing
that
nothing
doesn't
wrong,
do
you shouldn't mind
anything,
me filming. You're a public servant. I'm an American, you're an American. You're supposed to serve the people. And that's what it's all about. You should have no problem with me filming. No problem at all right now, officer. If you're not doing anything wrong, what's the wrong? You film us. Everybody films us.
Where's my camera?
You have it on your car. You have it on your car.
I have it in my car?
Exactly.
Check out my car. Okay?
Every police
How
car
much you
has
want that? No, they do not. Okay, once again, you know what you're talking about. Okay?
Police officers record us. We have every right to record.
Gotta go.
We have every right to film. Your boss just told you to. We have every right to film, and whenever a police officer tries to intimidate you and scare you, remember, this is mightier than any sword you will ever find. Use it, get it, and know your right. Stand up, people. Look up WeAreChange.org.
The state of New Hampshire made it illegal to wiretap or record without consent. In the case of Cooper Travis, he was arrested for disorderly conduct, not under the wiretapping law. That would be considered disorderly conduct. I don't make this up. This was from Dave Whitley of the RidleyReport.com. That was from the Dave Whitley report, talking about, the legal right to film. So they really get you in mind about what's going on. Well, we're out of time, but on Saturday, tomorrow, we're going to continue with the surfer story of Mark Fu and the other person. With a big storm coming, who would survive and who would wipe out? Would it be Mark Fu, or would it be the other surfer who makes surfboards on the side? And who would you decide to be the best surfer ever, Mark Fu or the other person? The ultimate ride to the ultimate conclusion to the ultimate ride tomorrow. Then also tomorrow, the alien story, like I promised you. That's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Friday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Saturday night. For all of us here at YouTube, and Give Me a Break, stop bullying, speak up. Concentration, not strength. No jaywalking. Have a good night.